Hello, Watem here, and welcome back to some more Higurashi When They Cry. I haven't recorded in over a month. So, oops. Yeah, another news. Part 4 came out today, so yeah, I'm going to need to get some recording done. La-di-da-di-da, oops-a-daisy. Yeah, so that's about as far as I got when I first tried to record this and realised I wasn't recording. So yeah, in any case, I've caught up a bit since I've been editing, so let's continue. Considering that, it was doubtful if this project was genuinely about researching the next generation of deterrence arms. It's probably just an excuse for the masterminds to funnel money into their own pockets. No, those complicated matters didn't matter to Takano. Whatever those old men and influencers were planning wasn't her business. As long as she could get the funding for her research, that was enough. But yes, corruption at its finest. Either way, Takano had found her sponsor. It was one of the biggest organizations around, too. This had always been her grandfather's dream. Takano was trying to stay calm, but she was about to jump up and down in excitement.
中川君としては今回の件十分に研究が進んだら丸ごと買い取って構わないと言ってくれてる。まだまだ未完の研究だが、その将来性については十分に理解できてるようだ。
おっしゃる通りです。この研究はまだ道半ばで、十分な資金と施設、人材が欠かせません。
それでだね。ここからが交渉になるんだが、向こうとしてはこの研究丸ごと抱えてしまいたいのが希望らしいんだ。こう言っちゃ悪いんだが、君一人に任せるには荷が重いと考えてる。
Hearing that put quite a damper on Takano's ecstasy.
私はお金が欲しくて研究しているのではありません。一人の研究者としての知的探求心からです。私に必要なのはスポンサー。先方が求めるのは成果。そういう関係に期待したかったのですが。
Takano realized she was talking rather breathlessly, so she tried to calm herself down. Either way, they'd be backing the research. Considering they're hoping for results that merit the budget, they probably feel that Takano is still too young to handle it. But then they also choose the young doctor, so that's probably not it.
分かってます。高野さんが今日まで積み上げてきた研究を横からかっさらわれたんじゃ、それはあんまりですからね。そこは私もよく分かってます。もちろん向こうにもそれは伝えました。それで出てきた折衷案がこれです。
まずアルファベットプロジェクト内の新規事業として高野さんの研究を立ち上げます。
I like the fact that they're the ones, they've already come up with a compromise without even informing her in the first place. And now they're informing her of the compromise and how it will work without her being on the table to, negotiate the compromise.
理事会の承認を経れば正式に予算をつけることができますからね。高野さんには客員という形でプロジェクトに参加していただき、研究に携わるという形になります。
If she wanted their funding, she'd have to fall under their authority, of course. So far, she had no objections.
ただ、研究会は今回の研究に予算をつけるにあたり、いくつかの条件を挙げています。一つは、先ほど先生が申し上げたこの度の研究に関する分野で優秀な才能を持つ人物に研究筆頭を委ねることです。
And she isn't? Wow.
お言葉を返すようですが、私以上にこの研究に詳しい人物が高野先生を除いて存在するとお思いですか？
まあ、そこは高野さん抑えて。お気持ちはごもっともです。
それではその人物に私が研究を売り渡すのと何も変わらないではありませんか。全く話が違います。
落ち着きなさい、高野さん。
Those cunning old men didn't miss sight of the faint leak of anger across Takano's expression. They gave evasive laughs, as if remarking how immature she still was if she let her emotions show over such a little thing. However, they weren't laughing to look down on Takano. They were laughing to, try to avoid her wrath? On the contrary, no. They were telling her to wait until the end.
もちろんそこはあなたのやりやすいように手を打ちます。
Or?
小泉先生からあなたをよろしく頼むと念をされているんです。
Or? So wait, is getting rid of him the plan from the beginning?
大恩ある小泉先生に託されたあなたを私がないがしろにするとお思いですか。大丈夫です。ここは一つ私に任せてください。あなたもそして連中も納得するうまい妥結点を用意します。
I mean, I'm probably wrong about that, but still. Kind of scared myself of that possibility.
と申しますと？
その人物の人選は私が握っているということですよ。
Everyone chortled except Takano. After a moment, she joined in. In other words, he meant that he would find just the right person. The defense agency had suggested finding an expert to lead the project because they didn't feel comfortable with just Takano. However, Takano, the sponsor, was the one tasked to find such a person. At that moment, Takano realized it. Ah, how wonderful it is to have such a powerful backer.
万事私に任せてください。あなたがやりやすい候補者をこちらで探します。高野さんはその中から組みやすいと思う相手を選べばいいということです。
Takano felt better after hearing that. While she wouldn't be the official head of the project, she would end up leading it from the shadows. Of course, she wasn't an expert per se. Having a partner would actually be beneficial.
この件、しばらく先方と私の方で調整します。もちろん、高野さんの満足のいく形で決着できるようにしますので、しばらく朗報を待ってください。
はい。お世話になりますが、どうかよろしくお願いいたします。
そうだそうだ。防衛庁の話だけじゃないよ。厚生省の永田君も一枚噛んでくれるそうだよ。国立感染症予防研究所の伊藤君を紹介してくれてね。機材や技術についてのバックアップを名乗り出てくれてる。
本当ですか？ありがとうございます。
もうこれは立派な国家プロジェクトですな。おめでとう高野さん。これも今日までのあなたと、そして高野先生の地道な研究が評価された結果です。
So I'm kind of wondering about Takano's evaluation of their thinking. If they are actually just interested in the money, or if they are actually interested in the project itself.
いえ。
So they might actually be interested in the project.
すべて高野先生の努力の成果です。私などまだ何も。
謙虚なのは実にいいことです。小泉先生もおっしゃっておられましたが、本当に高野さんはいい方ですな。
Are we sure about that?
可愛がられているというのもうなずけます。
それでですね、向こうとしては高野さんの身分を防衛庁で預かってしまいたいようです。幸い高野さんは医師免許をお持ちですからね。研究本部の遺憾として身分を保証するようです。
TRDI?
公務員になれということですか？これは意外な話ですね。
アルファベットプロジェクトに携わる研究機関のほとんどは公的機関です。
That makes sense.
今回の研究は陸自も強い関心を寄せており、職員を陸自から派遣したいと強く要望してきています。 ですので、場合によっては身分は陸自の扱いになるかもしれません。
So yeah, it is actually sounding like a lot of people were actually interested in this project at first. As for TRDI, yeah, no, I'm not really finding things in Google. There's a training center in Texas, which I doubt that's what it is, especially since it's apparently a Japanese public institution. Yeah, I'm going to say it's not any of those. Something about Doppler, I didn't read much of it, but I doubt it's that either. In any case, moving swiftly along.
まあこの辺は役人の縄張り争いだと思ってください。その役人たちの上に立つには役人の身分が必要になってくると、そういうわけですね。もちろんどういう形になろうとも高野さんが不快に思うようなことにはしませんから安心してください。
わかりました。そのあたりはお任せいたします。しかし高野先生がかつて軍にこの研究の援助を求めた時には断られたことを思うと、防衛庁が興味を示されたのが意外というか遅いというか複雑な気持ちですね。
それは仕方ありますまいな。
The war situation worsening, the Japanese military sought something of immediate effect that could turn the war around.
決して高野先生の研究を見下していたわけではないはずです。
Kind of reminds me how the Allies tried to build aircraft carriers out of icebergs or something, and how that ended horribly. That wasn't true, of course. Takano already heard that confession from the old man. Oh right, yes. She exhaled. To her, it was like the meeting in front of her was happening somewhere far away. She had longed for this day to come and worked so hard to reach it. Finally, her grandfather and his researchers were attaining recognition. This was the day she had dreamed of. Yeah, I'll get to that line. That's actually kind of an important line. But I was just thinking, she's kind of emphasizing that it's Dr. Takano's research, and kind of like based on what we've seen so far, kind of seems like she's trying to elevate him to like a god status. So why then later on is she trying to get herself that status rather than him? I think maybe, I don't know. I'll continue. So she was frightened just imagining that it would be an actual dream, that it might be an actual dream. True joy can't be felt all at once. Oftentimes it's a delayed reaction. Takano thought that must be exactly what she was feeling.
すると思います。多分、左官クラスの階級が与えられるのではないでしょうか。となると、高野さんは副隊長の地位になりますから、おそらく3差ではないかと。
これは素晴らしい。高野三叉ですか。いやいや羨ましいですな。男に生まれたからには一度くらいは自分のことを階級で呼ばれてみたいものですが。いや高野三叉ですか。
In which case you'll probably have to do some training for that. But yeah.
三叉何ですか。
ああ、自衛隊の階級のことで三等陸佐のことです。企業でいうところの副部長くらいでしょうね。
Ah yes, the company which expends its budget firing artillery shells at an unseen enemy.
おそらくその階級がプロジェクト発足時に高野さんに与えられることになるかと思います。
昔でいうところの少佐ですよ。そういえば奇遇ですな。 高野先生もかつては少佐の階級にあられたそうではありませんか。
I was confused for a moment, but as soon as it said Dr. Takano, I realized exactly what they were talking about. That makes sense. Takano remembered suddenly. They were right. Her grandfather had been lieutenant commander in the Japanese military. Everything she had done until today was so she could continue her grandfather's research. Now, everything had fallen into place. She had even been granted the same rank as her grandfather. She had always believed that succeeding his research would be proof that they had a bond tighter than blood. Now she would even be the same rank as him, though having jumped up a fair bit from nothing. But yes, this is fate, Takano thought. Maybe this is even a message from Grandpa. Yes, it must have been a shout of encouragement from heaven. It was proof that she inherited not only his research, but his will as well. Takano couldn't help but feel a sense of destiny for attaining the rank of major.
おじいちゃん、私ようやくここまで来たよ。
Nobody else could hear her say that, but her grandfather in heaven could. That was what Takano believed. She had only come so far. There was still a lot of things to do for this research to be recognized as great work. Otherwise her grandfather won't become a god. She wouldn't become one either. Oh. Can't remember this. You must become a god. That was in her grandfather's will. Oh. I was unable to do so. That line preceded it. It was her grandfather's dying wish. Her grandfather entrusted it to her. All of his research. God can't be physically brought back to life. God is made in the hearts of the people who remain alive. Her grandfather will live on in her heart. His exploits will be known to many, and all the scholars will fight to read his documents. To steal them from each other. They will learn about Hifumi Takano. He began his research during the war. They will know that nobody understood him, that he ended up devoting his lonely life to his research. And finally, they will extol his grand achievement. So, I wonder if the orphanage is before or after being with her grandfather. Weight of history. Okay, no new tips. Moving swiftly along, then, if I can actually hit the exit button. Let's continue.
ご紹介します。高野三佐です。三佐、こちらは入江京介先生です。
どうも、入江と申します。
Rie seemed extremely nervous at our first meeting. He probably thought I was in charge of some suspicious organization. Oh, he's not wrong, let's be honest.
萎縮しなくて結構ですわ。高野とお呼びください。
恐縮です。この度はお引き立ていただき深く感謝いたします。
どうぞおかけになってください。
A model lower middle class citizen was a good way to describe Kyosuke Urie's demeanor. One could also say he was the stereotypical type of person to get conveniently discarded after those crafty elders use their seniority to constantly pick on him. He certainly doesn't seem as cunning as I am. That doesn't mean he isn't ambitious. Like me, he's a young person who dreams of accomplishing something great and leaving his name upon generations to come. While he acts humble in person like this, his articles were actually progressive as well as aggressive. The gap between the two was quite intense.
平見沢症候群の資料を読ませていただきました。
いかがでしたか？
非常に驚くことばかりでした。 確かに今日の医学の暗部に踏み込みかねない内容ではありますが、未だ世界で誰も解明していない神秘という点で知的興奮を抑えきれません。
Hearing that made me chuckle. Yuria is more than interested in Himazara syndrome, which is good enough for me. She had been through the ringer with far too many people to reach this day, so her own intuition could tell. She would get along with this man. She would get along well with this man, even. Even if he isn't useful to me, he won't cause any problems. Both me and my sponsor, he's the best person possible for the job.
私こそ驚いております。入江先生ほどの博識かつ経験豊富な方が責任ある地位も仕事も与えられず、医局の片隅で飼い殺されているなど、これは医学界の重大な損失と言わざるを得ませんわ。
Irie laughed. Probably thought I didn't know, but I'd received detailed documents on him. So I knew why he was exiled from the limelight despite his rare talent and achievements. Oh, are we going to get some dark? The fact that he's a neurosurgery expert. So I wonder exactly what time this is, but I know 60s wasn't exactly a time of most ethical of experiments. Yeah. I mean, I've brought up, for example, the which uni was it? The prison experiment. Stanford prison experiment. When was that? It was not the movie, no. The 70s. Yeah. There are other less than ethical experiments as well around those times. This is definitely at least before 70. What? 8 at the very earliest, but at the very latest it's before 78, because that would be 5 years before the whole. Actually, so 77, because it had been mentioned, I'm pretty sure, as I think in chapter 4, which was set the year before all the murders and stuff started happening. Yeah, in any case, he explained extraordinary skill working under a neurosurgery expert, and everyone expected a bright future from him. But yeah, neurosurgery in particular, there were some. Also some very interesting studies about like split brain patients and stuff. There's, I forget when, but there was another, someone who didn't have any long-term memory. So quite interesting things that you could learn about how working memory works from them. Like, so there are things like they could, as long as they were like manipulating numbers or something, they could just keep going on and on and on, like for the whole day if they wanted to. But as soon as something interrupted them, they had no idea that they were even manipulating the numbers in the first place. Yeah, anyway, moving on. But he was kicked out due to an ethical controversy. Uria's theory was that the antisocial behavior of individuals could be explained by brain disorders. Okay, sometimes. I believe that no one in this world was born a villain, that they were all just poor patients in need of treatment. He proposed that they were all proper and normal when born, yet as they matured, psychogenesis and various exogenous factors caused brain disorders that made them into villains. Therefore, what those evil people need isn't punishment, it's treatment. If their diseases are treated, they will become good citizens again. It's kind of reminding me of like how people, like Britain tried to treat people of being gay, and that totally worked for. Yeah. Anyway, moving on. That manner of thinking actually fell in line with the Confucian belief of innate human goodness. According to this theory, humans are born with a capacity for altruism towards their kind, and it is only afterward that they learn to and acquire cruelty. They believe that acquisition was the result of brain disorders. The human brain creates human thoughts. Therefore, if one becomes emotionally ill, that means their brain is ill. So if their brain gets treatment, they will recover emotionally too. I mean, certainly there are like brain disorders which need treatment, and it can be extremely harmful without to the patients without treatment for example, schizophrenia patients. Some of them find treatment, like taking treatment, hard, but leaving it without having their medication can also be just as dangerous to their own health. But there then becomes issues if you just try to force like people to think in a certain way through medication. Yeah, so again, using schizophrenia, there are some pretty bad downsides to the medication. Can't remember off the top of my head, but it's the reason you still take it is because it's still better than the alternative. Meanwhile, trying to cure what do they call it? Goodness or something? Or badness, evilness or something? Through those mechanisms is unethical to say the least, if it's done without their permission. But also, like, how do you define evilness? Aggression is useful in times. Yeah, there's also some studies and stuff. Again, why am I always getting sidetracked by the neuroscience? I am sorry. But yeah, like basically studies of like game theory and stuff like that, where what is it? I forget exactly what it is, but it's one kind of study in particular where it's like they made a kind of a program which automatically did various. It's hard to explain. Basically, the agent on the other side will act a certain way depending on what the agent is. So one of them will always. So it's like this game where if you've probably heard it before, but if both of you like press a button, or no, if both of you put the coin in or something, then you both get 2 coins out, so you get 1 coin in total. Meanwhile, if you put the coin in, no, if you press the button, but they don't, they gain 3 coins and you gain nothing, so you lose 1. And then if neither of you do anything, then you both lose 1 or something. Or in any case, if you do something but they don't, then that's the worst case for you and the best case for them. So, like the study used examples where one would always press a button no matter what the other side did, one would never press a button no matter what the other side did, and the other one would copy what the other side does. And there's like various other factors that they kept on adding on So later on they add like communication errors. So someone that always pushes will like 5% of the time it will be random. In any case, the end result was along the lines of the copycats tending to be performing the best, and so like removing aggression fully, like and stuff like that, tends to be a bad idea. And anyway, I have gone way too off topic, and I will get back to the story. And I've run out of time. Okay, so I'll just read this line. Therefore, if one becomes emotionally ill, that means their brain is ill. So if their brain gets treatment, they will recover emotionally too. And on that note, I will leave you there for today. I hope you all enjoyed. Let me know in feedback you have in the comments. Until next time, see ya.